I was sitting in the hospital corridor when my daughter called. My brother had just died. I could barely breathe. She didn't ask if I was okay. She said, "Mom, does this affect our finances? Did Uncle David leave you anything we should know about?" I heard my son laughing in the background. I hung up, wiped my tears, and smiled. They wanted inheritance? Fine. I'd show them exactly what that means. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. My name is Margaret. I'm 64 years old. I live in a small house outside Portland. Been here 23 years. There's a rose garden out back that I tend every morning with my tea. I retired from nursing 8 years ago. My husband passed not long after that. Heart attack, quick and quiet. I have 2 children. Claire is 41, works in marketing, always busy. Ryan is 38. He's an accountant, also always busy. They have their own lives. I understand that. I do. But lately, the calls only come when they need something. Can you watch the kids? Can you lend me some money? Mom, I'm in a bind. Claire once told me I was being dramatic, that I make everything about feelings. Maybe she's right, but David never thought so. My brother, he called every week. We'd talk for hours. He was the only real family I had left. Until that Tuesday morning, when the hospital called. Stroke. By the time I arrived, he was already gone. The funeral was small. Me, Claire, Ryan, and a few of David's co-workers. Claire showed up 20 minutes late. Ryan spent half the service on his phone. I watched them, wondered when they'd become strangers. After the burial, Claire pulled me aside. "So, Mom, did Uncle David have a will?" I just looked at her. 1 week later, I sat in a lawyer's office downtown. Tall windows, expensive furniture, the kind of place I never thought I'd need. The attorney slid an envelope across the desk. My hands shook as I opened it. I could smell the fresh paper, hear the clock on the wall ticking. The first line read, "To my beloved sister Margaret, my entire estate. $47 million. Stock from a tech company David had quietly helped build. Real estate, investments, savings I never knew existed." The lawyer said David had been very specific. "Everything goes to me, no one else." There was a handwritten note tucked inside. David's messy scrawl. "Margaret, you were the only one who loved me for who I was, not what I could give. Use this wisely, and remember true character shows when people think you have nothing." I folded the letter, put it in my purse, walked out of that office, and didn't tell a soul. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept reading David's note. True character shows when people think you have nothing. I thought about Claire and Ryan, how they only called when they needed something, how they looked at me during the funeral, like I was an inconvenience. Do they love me? Or do they just tolerate me because I'm Mom? I decided to find out. If they truly cared, they'd help when I had nothing to give back, when I was just their mother who needed them. I thought about Sophie, David's niece, 18 years old. David raised her after her mother died. Sophie still remembered me from when she was little. I would text all 3 of them, same message, same amount, $800 for rent or I'd be evicted. Such a small amount for everything I'd given them over the years, but I had a feeling it would tell me everything I needed to know. Friday morning, I typed the message carefully. "Hi honey, I hate to ask, but I'm in trouble. Landlord says I need $800 by Monday or I'll be evicted. I'm so sorry to burden you. Can you help?" I sent it to Claire, then Ryan, then Sophie. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at my phone. My heart was pounding. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they'll come through. 2 hours later, Claire had read it. The little checkmark showed up, read, but no reply. I watched her post a story on Instagram, brunch with friends, mimosas. The caption said, "Self-care Sunday came early. The drink probably cost $18. I felt like I'd been slapped. I called her. It rang 3 times. "Mom, I'm busy." "What is it?" "Did you see my text?" "Yeah, I saw it. Look, Mom, you're being dramatic again. You always figure things out. I can't just drop everything because you didn't budget properly." I heard her husband in the background. "Is she asking for money again?" Claire sighed. "I have to go. We'll talk later." She hung up. I sat there holding the phone. I remembered when Claire was 23, she owed $12,000 on her credit cards. I sold my car to pay it off. She cried and said she'd never forget what I did for her. 4 hours later, Ryan finally replied. Mom, you always find a way. Stop begging. It's embarrassing. I've got my own bills. No heart emoji. No love you. Just cold words on a screen. I thought about the 8 months Ryan lived with me after his divorce. I cooked every meal, did his laundry, gave him money for gas. He never paid me back a single dollar. He told me I was the best mom anyone could ask for. I sat alone in my dark kitchen. I didn't cry. I was past that. I just felt empty. Had I been blind all this time? The kitchen light flickered. I didn't move. Just sat there with my cold tea and my phone on the table. Moonlight came through the window. I looked at the family photo on the wall. 10 years old. Everyone smiling. Claire's arm around my shoulder. Ryan making a silly face. We looked happy. Were we ever really happy? Or was I the only one who believed it? My finger traced their faces in the picture. I thought about David, how he always saw things clearly. He knew. He'd always known. Maybe I spoiled them. Maybe I loved too much and taught too little. But they're adults now. They made their choices. My phone buzzed. My heart jumped. Maybe Claire changed her mind. It wasn't Claire. It wasn't Ryan. It was Sophie. And what she wrote changed everything. Aunt Margaret, I just saw your message. Oh my God, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I have $2,400 in my college fund. I'm sending it all to you right now. Don't worry about paying me back. Uncle David would want me to help you. I started crying. Not because of the money, because an 18-year-old girl who worked at a coffee shop just gave me everything she had. Sophie was David's niece from his late sister. When Sophie's mom died, David raised her alone. She just graduated high school. She was supposed to start community college in the fall. She worked part-time, saving every dollar for tuition. $2,400. That was everything. Her entire future. And she sent it without hesitating. I called her immediately. She picked up on the first ring. Aunt Margaret, did you get it? Is it enough? I can pick up more shifts if you need more. Her voice was so earnest, I had to cover my mouth to keep from sobbing. Sophie, sweetheart, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. You and Uncle David were there for me when no one else was. This is nothing compared to what you both gave me. I remembered Sophie as a little girl. David and I used to take her for ice cream. He'd help her with homework, drive her to school. She never had much, never asked for much, but she knew how to love. I looked at my phone, at Claire's silence, at Ryan's cruelty, then at Sophie's message. I knew then what I had to do. I transferred Sophie's money back immediately, with an extra $5,000. Then I picked up my phone and texted Claire and Ryan. Family meeting, my house, Saturday 2 p.m. Important, please don't skip. Claire replied first. Can it wait? I have plans. Ryan said, what's this about? I typed back one word. Inheritance. Both responded within seconds. We'll be there. Saturday came. I cleaned the living room, made tea, set out cookies nobody would eat. I put the important papers in a folder on the coffee table. 2 o'clock. They both arrived exactly on time. First time in years they'd been punctual for anything involving me. Claire wore her work suit. Ryan carried his tablet. They walked in without hugging me, just sat down on the couch. Claire spoke first. So, Mom, what's this about inheritance? Did Uncle David leave something? I sat across from them. My voice was calm. Yes, David left something. But before we talk about that, I want to discuss what happened last week. Ryan frowned. What happened last week? I sent you both a message. I needed $800. Do you remember? Claire's face tightened. Oh God, Mom, not this again. You're so dramatic. Her voice had that edge. Annoyed. Like I was a child throwing a tantrum. I was busy. You know I have a demanding job. I can't just drop everything every time you have a crisis. Ryan nodded. Yeah, and honestly, Mom, you always figure things out. You didn't actually get evicted, did you? He said it like I'd made the whole thing up for attention. No, I said. I didn't. I let the silence sit. Would you have cared if I did? Claire stood up. I'm not doing this. I didn't come here to be guilt-tripped. She grabbed her purse. You called us here about Uncle David's will. Let's talk about that. Ryan stayed seated, but his voice was cold. Mom, we're adults. We have our own responsibilities. You can't expect us to drop everything. He leaned forward. Besides, you've always been financially irresponsible. Maybe this was a lesson you needed to learn. I watched them. Claire gripping her purse so tight her knuckles were white. Ryan tapping his fingers on the armrest. Impatient, nervous. Neither of them asked if I was okay. Neither asked how I was doing. Just wanted to know about money. Funny how their voices always rise when guilt sets in. You're right, I said quietly. I did learn a lesson. I reached for the folder. David left me his entire estate, $47 million. The room went silent, dead silent. Claire's mouth fell open. Ryan shot to his feet. What? The air felt frozen. Claire recovered first. Her whole face changed. Suddenly she was smiling, sweet voice. She stepped toward me. Mom, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you. She tried to hug me. I could smell her perfume. Expensive. We should celebrate. This is incredible news. Ryan's brain was already working. I could see it. Numbers. Calculations. That's a substantial amount, Mom. You'll need help managing it. He sat back down. Professional voice now. I'm a financial advisor. Let me help you set up trusts, investments, tax strategies. Then he said it. The thing I knew was coming. We should probably discuss estate planning too. You know, for when the time comes. For when I die. That's what he meant. I stood up. Sit down. Both of you. My voice wasn't loud, but it was cold. Sit. Claire Saturday still trying to smile. Mom, what's wrong? This is good news. I looked at them both. When I sent that text last week, I wasn't actually in trouble. I let that land. I tested you. I wanted to know if you'd help your mother when she had nothing to offer you back. Ryan's face went red. That's manipulative, Mom. You lied to us. His voice was angry now. Defensive. Claire realized where this was going. Mom, wait. That's not fair. You can't just... I cut her off. Sophie sent me $2,400, her entire college fund. I watched them process that. She's 18. She works at a coffee shop making minimum wage. That's all she has in the world, and she gave it to me without thinking twice. Ryan tried to argue. That's different. She doesn't have bills. She doesn't have responsibilities like we. She has tuition, I said. Books, rent, a future she's trying to build. I looked at Claire. Everything you both had, which I paid for. Claire changed tactics. Her eyes filled with tears. Mom, I'm sorry. I should have helped. I was just stressed with work and... She reached for my hand. Please, don't do this. I love you. I pulled my hand back. I'm not doing anything yet. I just wanted you to know the truth. I picked up another paper from the folder. And I wanted you to know that Sophie will be taken care of. Very well taken care of. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Suspicious now. Scared. What do you mean? I smiled. For the first time since they'd arrived, and I could see it register on their faces. They weren't here for me. They never had been. And now they were terrified of what that might cost them. I sat back down, opened another folder. Let me tell you what I've done this past week. Claire tried to interrupt. Mom, can we just talk about... No, you'll listen now. You've talked enough over the years. I pulled out a stack of papers, bank statements, highlighted in yellow. These are my records from the last 15 years. Every deposit I made, every withdrawal, every transfer to you two. I set them on the coffee table. $12,000 to Claire, June 2012. Your credit card debt. Claire went pale. $8,500 to Ryan, March 2015. Security deposit for your apartment. I kept going. $22,000 to Claire, September 2017. Down payment on your car. Claire started to speak. Mom, we never asked you to. You did, every single time, and I gave, because that's what mothers do. I pointed to more lines. 15,000 to Ryan, November 2018, your divorce lawyer. 6,000 to Claire, April 2020, when you were between jobs. I looked up at them. Total, $127,340 to the two of you, over 15 years. Ryan shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. We were going to pay you back eventually. Were you? Silence. I pulled out another stack. Printed pages, text messages, emails. I printed our conversations from the last 5 years. Want to guess how many times you asked me for something versus how many times you asked how I was doing? Claire's face turned red. That's not fair to quantify. 267 requests, 34 questions about my well-being. I let that number hang in the air. And most of those 34 were asking if I was okay to babysit. Ryan stood up. This is ridiculous. You're twisting everything to make us look. Sit down. My voice was quiet. But Saturday. Here's what you don't know. David didn't just leave me money. He left me information. Claire looked confused. What information? I pulled out a small USB drive, held it up. David was a software engineer. Brilliant man. He built security systems, data tracking, analytics. I set the drive on the table. Over the years, when you both would complain about me to him, yes, I know you did, he started documenting everything. I could see panic setting in. This contains every email, every text message, every phone call you've made about me for the last 8 years. David set up a system. He wanted me to see the truth. Ryan went white. That's illegal. That's invasion of... It's not. You sent them to him, he saved them. Perfectly legal. Claire's voice was barely a whisper. What did they say? I picked up a printed page. Claire, email to David, March 2021. Quote, she's so needy, always calling, always wanting attention. I feel obligated to visit, but honestly, it's exhausting. End quote. Claire started crying. I didn't mean it like... I kept reading. Ryan, text to David, July 2022. Quote, Mom's getting old and clingy. Do you think we need to start looking at homes for her? I can't deal with this much longer. End quote. Ryan's jaw clenched. That was taken out of context. I wasn't done. Claire, email, December 2023. Quote, I'm only nice to her because eventually there'll be an inheritance. The house, at least. End quote. Claire was sobbing now. Mom, please stop. Ryan, text message, January 2024. Quote, let's be real. The only reason to maintain a relationship with her is financial security later. End quote. The room was dead silent except for Claire's crying. Ryan tried anger, his last defense. David had no right to spy on us like that. David had every right. He was protecting his sister. He saw what I couldn't see, what I didn't want to see. I looked at both of them. He saw that you stopped loving me years ago, if you ever did. Neither of them could speak. They just sat there, caught, exposed. Claire tried desperation. Mom, I love you. I do. I was just stressed. I didn't mean those things. You meant every word. Ryan switched tactics, cold now, calculated. So what? You're going to cut us off? Over some old messages? We're your children. Yes, you are. I felt my throat tighten. That's why this hurts so much. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at my garden. I gave you everything. I taught you to walk, to read, to drive. I stayed up nights when you were sick. I worked double shifts to afford your college. I turned back to them. And somewhere along the way, you learned that I was just a resource, an ATM with a pulse. Claire reached out. That's not true. Then why didn't you send $800? The question hung there. Why did Sophie, a girl who has nothing, give me everything she had? While you two, with your careers and your homes and your comfortable lives, couldn't spare a single dollar. No answer, because there was no good answer. Or worse, you could have spared it. You just chose not to. Because in your minds, I always figure it out. I'm always fine. I'm just Mom. I'll always be there when you need me. I picked up my phone, showed them Sophie's message. This is what love looks like, not what you've been giving me. I walked to the door, Opened it. I want you both to leave now. Sarah stood up quickly. Mom, please, let's talk about this. There's nothing left to say today. We'll talk again soon, but right now I need you to go. Ryan grabbed his tablet. One last attempt. What about the inheritance? Are you cutting us out? I looked at him for a long moment. I don't know yet. That depends on what happens next. They walked out, Claire still crying, Ryan's face hard with anger, both of them terrified. I closed the door, stood there listening to their cars drive away. My phone buzzed. Sophie. Aunt Margaret, did you talk to them? Are you okay? I typed back. I'm better than okay, sweetheart. Come by tomorrow. We need to talk. I sat back down at my table, poured myself tea. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The truth was out, and the real test was just beginning. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop, started going through everything David had left me. Not just the text messages. There were recordings, videos, documents I hadn't seen yet. I found a video file from 2015, Claire's wedding planning. I'd paid $35,000 for that wedding. I remembered working extra shifts for 6 months to afford it. I clicked play. David must have been recording from his phone. Claire was talking to her bridesmaids. They were looking at venues. Mom's paying for everything, thank God. I told her it's what I always dreamed of. Honestly, I just wanted a destination wedding on her dime. One of her friends laughed. You're so smart. Milk it while you can. I had to stop the video. Get up. Walk away. I remembered that day. Claire had come to me crying, said she'd always dreamed of this specific wedding. I'd been so touched that she wanted to share that dream with me. She'd been lying, playing me. There was an audio recording, 2017, Ryan talking to his ex-wife. His voice, just ask my mom, she'll give you anything if you cry enough. His wife, that's manipulative. Ryan, it's efficient, she's got money saved up, she doesn't need it, might as well put it to good use. I remembered that conversation. Ryan had come to my house, sat at my kitchen table, told me he felt like a failure, that he didn't know what to do. I'd held him, comforted him, written him a check. He'd been acting, performing, using my love like a weapon against me. But the worst thing I found was an email thread between Claire and Ryan from 2023. Subject line, Mom's future. Claire wrote, Mom's 63 now. She can't live alone much longer. Ryan replied, agreed. We should look at assisted living, somewhere affordable. Claire, yeah, no point in her staying in that house. We can sell it, split the money. Ryan, does she have a will? Claire, I don't think so. We should encourage her to make one, with us as executors. Ryan, smart. And life insurance? Claire, I'll bring it up. Frame it as protecting her legacy. I had to stand up, walk to the bathroom. I felt sick. They'd been planning my end-of-life care, not because they cared, but because they were calculating what they'd get when I died. I found another document, a spreadsheet. They'd made a list of my assets. House value, $420,000. Retirement fund, $180,000. Life insurance, $250,000. At the bottom, Claire had written a note. Total, $850,000. Split 2 ways equals $425,000 each. They'd inventoried me, like I was already dead, like I was just numbers on a page. I found David's calendar. He'd been tracking every time Claire and Ryan claimed they were too busy to visit. Then, he'd cross-referenced it with their social media. Mother's Day 2022. Claire said she was traveling for work. She wasn't. She was in Napa Valley with friends, posted pictures of wine tasting. My birthday, 2023. Ryan said he was sick. He wasn't. He was at a golf tournament, posed for photos with his trophy. Years of lies, years of choosing everything else over me, but always available when they needed money, always had time when there was something to gain. Then I found a document David had written, titled, For Margaret, please read when ready. I opened it. Margaret, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I can't tell you this in person. Your children don't deserve you. I've watched them use you for years. I documented everything because I knew you wouldn't believe me if I just told you. You have the biggest heart of anyone I know, but they've learned to weaponize it. I'm leaving you everything because you're the only real family I had. Use this money to build a life that respects you. And please, please don't let them take advantage of you anymore. You deserve better. You always have. I sat at my desk and cried, really cried. For the first time since David died, not for the money, for the years I'd been blind, for the love I'd given that was never returned. For David, who'd seen everything and tried to protect me even after death. When morning came, I knew what I had to do. I called my lawyer. I need to set up a trust, and I need to make changes to my will. Then I called Sophie. Can you come over today? I have something important to discuss. She arrived an hour later, worried. Aunt Margaret, you sounded serious. Is everything okay? Sit down, sweetheart. I told her everything, the inheritance, the test, Claire and Ryan's responses, the files David had left. Sophie was shocked about the money, but not surprised about Claire and Ryan. Aunt Margaret, I always felt like they looked down on you, on us. Uncle David noticed it too. He used to say they forgot where they came from. I reached across the table, took her hand. Sophie, I'm going to make sure you never have to worry about college, or rent, or books, or anything. You're going to get the support you deserve. She started crying. I don't need anything. I just want you to be happy. You and Uncle David were the only ones who ever made me feel like I mattered. You matter more than you know, and you're about to see exactly how much. We spent that day organizing documents, accounts, legal papers, making calls, setting up meetings, planning what came next. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice, about teaching a lesson, about showing Claire and Ryan what family really means. By evening, everything was ready. I sent a text to Claire and Ryan. Family meeting number 2, tomorrow, 2 p.m. This time, bring your spouses. They should hear this too. Claire responded immediately. Mom, please, can we talk first? Ryan, is this really necessary? I replied to both. Yes, see you tomorrow. Then I turned off my phone. Sophie looked at me. How do you feel? Lighter than I have in years. I looked at this brave young woman who'd given everything without question. Then I thought of Claire and Ryan, who'd calculated every interaction for years. Tomorrow, they'd learn what their calculations had cost them. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of their reaction. I was ready. Sunday morning. I woke up early, made coffee, felt calmer than I had in weeks. My lawyer arrived at noon. Philip Morrison, 58 years old. He'd worked with David for years, trusted him completely. He carried a briefcase full of documents, set them on my dining table. Margaret, are you absolutely sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. He nodded slowly. This is significant. It will change your family dynamics permanently. They changed it already. I'm just making it official. Philip opened his briefcase, started organizing papers. When they arrive, I'll be here as witness and legal counsel. You'll present the terms. They can accept or contest. But given the evidence and your mental competency evaluation from last week, they don't have grounds to fight this. I don't want to destroy them, I said. I want to teach them. Philip looked at me. Sometimes the best teaching is the hardest lesson. Sophie arrived at 1:30. She was nervous, kept smoothing her hair. Aunt Margaret, do you need me here? Yes, you're the reason I can do this. You reminded me what real love looks like. The doorbell rang at 1:55. Claire and Ryan. With their spouses this time. Claire's husband Mark looked confused. Ryan's girlfriend Jessica seemed uncomfortable. They all walked in slowly, cautious. They saw Philip sitting at the table in his suit. Saw Sophie standing next to me. Saw the dining table covered in folders and legal documents. Ryan spoke first. What is this? Why is your lawyer here? Sit down, everyone. My voice was calm, steady, commanding. Saturday. Thank you all for coming. This won't take long. I'm here to tell you about my decisions regarding David's inheritance. Claire gripped Mark's hand. Mom, before you say anything. No, I'm talking now. I looked at Philip, at Sophie, at the 4 people sitting across from me. Philip is here as my legal counsel and witness. Sophie is here as family. Your spouses are here because what I'm about to say affects them too. I folded my hands on the table. For 40 years, I've been your mother. I've given you everything I had: time, money, love, support. I never asked for gratitude. I never asked for payback. But I did expect basic human decency. Ryan started to speak. Mom, this is... I held up my hand. I tested you. You failed. Not because you didn't send money, but because you didn't send compassion. Claire's eyes were already filling with tears. We're sorry. I found David's files. I know everything, every conversation, every calculation, every lie. The room went dead silent. So here's what's going to happen. I opened the first folder, pulled out a document. I've made my will. Philip has filed it with the court. I watched them lean forward, terrified and eager at once. They still thought they could fix this. They still thought they could talk their way back in. They had no idea that the time for talking was over. Now it was time for consequences. I opened the folder labeled Estate Distribution. David left me $47 million. Here's how it will be distributed. I looked at Sophie first. Sophie will receive $15 million in a trust. It will cover her education, housing, and living expenses. The remainder will be available to her at age 25. Sophie gasped, put her hand over her mouth. Aunt Margaret, no, I can't. You can. You will. You earned it through simple kindness. Claire couldn't help herself. Her voice came out sharp. 15 million? Ryan leaned forward. Mom, that's excessive. I ignored them, kept going. $20 million will go to establishing the David Morrison Foundation. It will provide college scholarships for students from single-parent homes. Students like Sophie, who work hard and deserve support. Philip spoke up. The foundation is already registered, legally binding. Ryan was doing math in his head. That's 35 million. What about the rest? Getting to that, 5 million will go to various charities David and I cared about. Children's hospitals, hospice care, animal shelters. Claire's voice was shaking now. Mom, that's 40 million. What about us? I looked at them both. Let the silence stretch. 5 million will be split between you, 2.5 million each. For a second, Claire looked relieved. Thank you, Mom, I'm not finished. Her face fell. The 2.5 million comes with conditions. I opened a second folder. Condition 1. You will each donate $500,000 to the David Morrison Foundation, not for tax write-offs, in his name, publicly. Ryan's voice rose. That's $500,000. Yes, the same amount you calculated from my life insurance policy? Dead silence. They realized I'd seen that spreadsheet. Condition 2. You will each write a personal letter to Sophie, apologizing for how you've treated her over the years, for looking down on her because she had less. Claire started to protest. We never... Sophie spoke quietly. You did. Condition 3. You will attend family counseling, together, for 1 year, not for me, for yourselves, to understand why you became people who calculate love. Ryan stood up. This is humiliating. Is it? Or is it accountability? Condition 4. You will volunteer, 10 hours per month, for 2 years, at a homeless shelter, soup kitchen, or hospice, places where people have nothing. Maybe you'll learn what David tried to teach me. True character shows when you have nothing to gain. Claire's voice was desperate now. And if we refuse? Then you get nothing. The 2.5 million goes to the foundation instead. Philip nodded. It's all legal. Your mother has full discretion over the inheritance. Ryan's face went red, angry now. This is manipulation. You're using money to control us. I stood up, walked closer to them. No, you used my love to control me. I'm using money to teach you. There's a difference. Claire tried a different approach. Softer, pleading. Mom, please. We can fix this without all these conditions. We'll do better. We promise. You've had 40 years to do better. This is your last chance. I pulled out one more document. If you meet all conditions for 2 years, there's an additional $1 million each waiting, but only if you prove you've learned. Ryan grabbed his tablet. Prove how. By becoming people who'd send $800 to their mother without hesitation. By becoming people who check in without wanting something. By becoming the children I thought I raised. Mark, Claire's husband, finally spoke. Claire, maybe we should stay out of this. Mark! Claire snapped at him. Mark looked at her, then at me. No, your mom is right. You never talk about her except when you need something. I've noticed it for years. Jessica, Ryan's girlfriend, nodded. Daniel, she has a point. You told me last month that visiting your mom was a chore. Ryan turned on her. Not now, Jess. But the damage was done. Even their partners could see it. You have 48 hours to decide, I said. Accept the terms or walk away. Either way, my decision is final. I walked to the door, opened it. This meeting is over. Claire rushed to me. Mom, wait. Can't we talk about this privately? There's nothing private about what you've done. You made calculations about my life with Ryan. You made jokes about me to David. You treated me like a bank account with a heartbeat. Now you get to decide if you're willing to become family again. Philip stood, collected his papers. I'll send the formal documents tomorrow. You can have your lawyers review them, but the terms are non-negotiable. They left, Claire crying, Ryan furious. Mark looked back at me and mouthed, I'm sorry. Jessica just shook her head. After they were gone, Sophie came to me. Aunt Margaret, I don't know what to say. Say you'll use that money to build a beautiful life. That's all David and I ever wanted. Philip put his hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing, Margaret. Hard, but right. I looked out the window, watched their cars pull away. I hope so. I really hope so. That night, I didn't sleep. Not from regret, from relief. I'd finally stopped being a mother who gives everything and started being a mother who teaches everything. And sometimes, the hardest lesson is the price of taking love for granted. The first day after the meeting, Claire called 8 times. I didn't answer. Ryan sent text after text. We need to talk. This is insane. I left them all on read. The second day, Mark called me directly. Margaret, I just wanted to say I think you're brave. Claire's been different since she found out about the money. Not in a good way. I'm starting to see things I didn't want to see. I'm sorry you had to witness that, Mark. I'm glad I did. Now I understand a lot more. Word started spreading. Family friends began hearing rumors. Did you hear about Margaret's inheritance? Did you hear what her kids did? Claire's best friend called me. A woman I'd known for 15 years. Margaret, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Claire always made it sound like you were demanding. Like you called too much, asked for too much. I never knew she was the one always taking. Ryan's workplace heard too. One of his colleagues had been friends with David, knew the whole story. Word got around the office fast. People started treating Ryan differently, asking questions. Is it true you didn't help your mom when she asked for $800? The local community started talking. I volunteer at the library every Tuesday. People there heard about Sophie emptying her college fund to help me. The story made it into a small local news article. Teen empties college fund to help family friend. The comments online praised Sophie, but some people connected the dots. Where were her own children? Why did an 18-year-old girl have to step in? Claire stopped posting on social media. People she knew were talking. Her mother-in-law heard the story. Called Claire disappointed. Claire's own children started asking questions. Why is Grandma upset with you, Mom? Ryan's girlfriend, Jessica, broke up with him. She told him she needed to know if he'd treat her the same way he treated me. If I needed you, would you calculate whether it was worth it? Ryan told her it was different. She said, Is it? Then she left. Claire's marriage started straining. Mark sat her down. We need to talk about values. Our kids are watching how you treat your mother. What are we teaching them? By day 7, both Claire and Ryan realized this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about who they were in everyone's eyes. Their reputations, their relationships, everything was cracking. The day before the deadline, Claire called. Her voice was broken. Mom, I'll accept your terms. Not for the money. I'm so ashamed. I don't even recognize myself anymore. An hour later, Ryan called. Quieter than I'd ever heard him. I'll do it too. I don't know when I became this person, but I don't want to be him anymore. I said the same thing to both of them. That's the first honest thing you've said in years. I hung up and looked at Sophie. She was studying at my kitchen table, books spread out, coffee steaming. She looked up and smiled, a real smile, uncomplicated by calculation. And I thought, this is what family should feel like. The rest would have to earn their way back to this feeling, and I'd be there to watch, to see if they could. 2 months passed. Claire and Ryan started counseling. I didn't attend, that was their journey. But their therapist sent me notes with their permission. Session 3. Claire beginning to recognize pattern of entitlement. Session 6. Ryan expressed genuine remorse today. First time he's used the word wrong about himself. Claire started volunteering at a homeless shelter. She came home crying after her first day. Mark told me about it later. There was a woman there who reminded her of you. Same age, same kind eyes. The woman told Claire she hasn't heard from her son in 3 years. All Claire could think was that she was almost that son. Ryan chose hospice care for his volunteer work. He sat with dying patients, held their hands, listened to their regrets. One man told Ryan his kids were coming to visit. First time in months. The man was excited. He died 2 hours before they arrived. Ryan watched those kids show up, watched them cry, heard them say, "We should have come sooner." Ryan called me that night. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it." "I know," I said. "Keep going." The letters to Sophie arrived. Claire's came first, 3 pages, handwritten. "Sophie, I looked down on you because you reminded me of who I used to be and who I stopped being. You were everything I should have stayed. Grateful, humble, kind. I'm sorry for making you feel small when you were actually bigger than me in every way that matters." Ryan's letter was shorter, but real. I thought success meant leaving certain people behind, leaving certain values behind. I was wrong. You never left anyone behind even when you had nothing. That's real success. That's real strength. I'm sorry I never saw it before. Sophie showed me the letters. They sound different. "Words are easy," I said. "Let's see about actions." 6 months in, things started changing. Claire visited every Sunday. She didn't ask for anything. She brought flowers, cooked breakfast. Sometimes we just sat and talked. She'd ask about my week, how I was feeling, what I'd been reading. Ryan called every Wednesday evening, our scheduled time. He'd tell me about his volunteer work, ask for advice, not about money, about life, about how to be better. Sophie was thriving at college, 4.0 grade average. She started a support group for students from low-income backgrounds. "Aunt Margaret, I want to use this gift to help others the way Uncle David helped me." I decided to have a family dinner, first time all together since the meetings. I cooked, my choice. Claire brought wine, Ryan brought dessert, Sophie helped me in the kitchen. It was awkward at first. We all felt it. Then Ryan said, "Mom, your pot roast is still the best thing I've ever eaten." Not asking for anything, just saying something true and kind. Claire asked Sophie about her classes, actually listened, didn't check her phone once. After dinner, Claire and Ryan cleared the table without being asked. Sophie said she'd do dishes. Claire said, "No, we've got it. You study." I watched them, Ryan washing, Claire drying. Claire said, "Remember when we used to do this as kids?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, before we got too important for dishes." We were never too important, we just forgot. I smiled. First real smile around them in months. Claire came to me later. "Mom, Mark and I are teaching the kids differently now. About money, about family, about what matters. We're using you as the example of how to do it right." Ryan said, "Jessica and I are talking again. She said if I truly change, maybe we could try again. She said she'd know I changed when you believed it." He looked at me. "Do you believe it?" I looked at him for a long moment. "I believe you're trying. That's a start." Then I told them about the additional $1 million each. "You'll get it. But not now. In 5 years, if you maintain this, not the volunteering, not the therapy, just being present, being real, being family." Claire's voice cracked. "We don't need it, Mom. We just need you to forgive us." "I forgive you. But you need to forgive yourselves. That's the harder part." They left that night with real hugs, plans for next Sunday. Ryan joked about bringing his lasagna. I said it wasn't that famous. He laughed. After they were gone, Sophie said, "They're trying." Yes, they are. David would be proud. Not of them yet, but of the possibility. I sat in my quiet house, looked at the photos on the wall, old ones of Claire and Ryan as babies, a new one of Sophie at her high school graduation, and David's last photo, smiling. You can't buy love, but you can teach it. Sometimes the most valuable inheritance isn't money. It's the lesson that love isn't transactional. It's knowing you'd give $800 or $800,000 to someone who'd give you their last $8 first. 1 year later, I'm still in my small house. Garden's bigger now. Sophie helps me plant on weekends. Sundays are sacred. Family dinner. Sometimes just Sophie and me. Sometimes all of us. Always real. Claire and Ryan are still in counseling by choice now. Still growing. The David Morrison Foundation gave out its first scholarships. 15 students, all like Sophie. Working hard. Deserving more. I sleep well now. No anxiety. No resentment. Just quiet contentment. If you've listened this far, thank you. Maybe you've been in my shoes. Given everything. Received little. Maybe you've been in my children's shoes. Taken for granted what you should have treasured. Wherever you are, there's time to change the story. David left me $47 million. But Sophie gave me something more valuable. She reminded me what love looks like when it's real. That's an inheritance no money can buy. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, I'd love to hear yours in the comments below.